From the Nillis Law Firm Studios. I'm lucky enough to work with a guy that covered old time hockey, Eddie Shore. I think my good friend Scott Taylor covered the hockey games back in the day when Eddie Shore played. He's probably screaming at me right now and will be kind of angry that I made that kind of a comment. However, this is Thursday night. This is Game on Hockey on the Mighty 790 KFGO. We look forward to doing a couple more shows before we wrap up this season. And we put together a pretty good show this week, my friend, good Scott.
Actually, to be honest, Eddie Shore was a rookie when I was in my 15th season covering
man who can take a good poke. That's awful. That's awesome indeed. Well, we
can only be so old. The NHL didn't start till 1917. You can only be so old.
Yeah, that's true. And back in the day when the Kenora Thistles won the Stanley Cup, and I think that was like 1918 or somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, Winnipeg Victorias won the Stanley Cup.
Winnipeg Victorias, and yet the Maple Leafs haven't won it since when? 1967. And I watched it on TV.
And with all due respect, although I'm not sure after 55 years there is a lot of respect left, they're not going to win it this year either.
Oh, deep thoughts. We will.
I mean, come on. If you've been watching the National Hockey League,
yeah, which we have
right now, you have to be in love with either Tampa or Carolina, and either the Wild or Colorado.
And the Wild is the conversation we'll have with one of our guests today, and that'll be Pat Micheletti. He'll be joining us shortly. Pat at Pat Mick 2626 covers college hockey. St. Cloud State is one of his big coverages over the course of the hockey season. So we'll visit it with both St. Cloud State and their inability to get to that Frozen Four. He also covers Minnesota State Mankato quite nicely and has good background. His son went to University of Minnesota State, Mankato. So those two now are kind of probably prodding each other back and forth. Of course, Pat Mick having played for the Golden Gophers. And the Frozen Four next week, those two face off right out of the gate. Two very, very good hockey teams. And the other semifinal will be the University of Michigan versus the University of Denver. So you can follow us on Twitter at Travis G. Dunn1 and at S. Taylor Sports. Paul Dick will also be joining us in the third segment. And Scott, this guy's has worked with a lot of players that have developed into very good college players and then future professional players. He has had a number of those U.S. players come up to Steinbach, Manitoba, and play for the Steinbach Pistons.
Every team in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League before COVID, and now we're at the point of after COVID, so next season, every team is allowed 6 U.S. imports. Steinbach is a team that has had a lot of those imports and a lot of players that have done extremely well. Of course, one went to UND and became a captain, I believe, and ended up with the Dallas Stars, young Mr. Smith. So he's done a remarkable job of training guys for college hockey in the United States. And if you know anything about Paul at all, and we'll go back to pre-COVID and forward to post-COVID, he's a guy that every year brings his junior hockey team to the Ralph. They do a tour with Brad Berry. He shows them what UND hockey is all about, what US college hockey is all about, and is probably the biggest promoter of the US college game in Manitoba. And I always like to talk to Paul about it. He's a guy who played in Europe for a lot of his career as a player. He was a tremendous hockey player himself, although his NHL career was extremely short, like really, really short. Mm-hmm. But he had a wonderful career as a European player and understands the importance of getting a degree to go with your hockey. And that's why he points a lot of his players, see Reese Gaber, to the University of North Dakota.
Absolutely. We'll visit with him about opportunities and how you would get in contact with him if you're looking for that opportunity, whether you're a North Dakotan, a Minnesotan, trying to get north of the border. It could be a South Dakota or even a Montana, because our broadcast signal does carry that distance. The opportunities are there, and hopefully he'll share that good information with. We're waiting for Pat Micheletti to join. But while we're waiting for Pat, Scott, the Winnipeg Jets won a big game last night in overtime. A must win. And what they're saying, they can only lose 2 games the remainder of the season. Odds are that's not going to happen.
The odds are it's not. I think they've done a remarkable thing getting themselves back into it. As I look at the standings just below me here now, they are 2 points out of that last wild card spot. Granted, they have played far too many games, as the Vegas Golden Knights have played far too many games. You look at Dallas at 65 and Winnipeg at 68. It's going to be pretty tough. But to be honest, they were a team that was down, out, dead, finished, and have won 5 of 6. And they won last night in Buffalo. And people will go on and say, well, they were lucky to win a good bet.